In the last one, we looked at how we could do some what's called conditional branching. So depending on the value of some variable, or basically depending on how certain conditionals get evaluated, whether or not it's true or false, you can get a program to do one thing. Otherwise, if it's not true, it'll do something else. And then there's an additional set of branching where it checks something else, some other property, and if that checks out, it does the one thing, or else it does something else. So you can kind of, we have a if, and then you can kind of think of this as then, or if else, I'm sorry. So if this, then do that, or else do this. That's kind of the basic one. But then we can have like, if this, do that, or else, then check this, and then if that works, do that. Otherwise, if neither of those things work, then do this. So you can sort of have a sort of three-level branching. Now, each of these can have if statements in them, so you could have actually deeper levels of branching. So it can get, like, quite an interesting little hub where the flow of control for the program goes into this node, and then depending on how things check out, it can have all these different paths out of here. Depending, what it does could have all these different possible things that it could do, and it only does one of them depending on how, conditions that are met. Well, there's another way that we can do something very similar. We can use a switch statement. Switch will check something, or you can put in a variable. Usually it works with, I think, text, but it seems to work with numbers too. And inside of here, you say, in the case that x is, I don't know, 10, then we're going to do something. We're going to say console.log your number is 10. I need to put that in quotes. And then to get out of that, so if this number is 10, it will do this. In that case, it'll do this. Then we have to actually break out of this. This is kind of like a weird way of doing things for JavaScript. And then, in the case that it's 11, it'll say console.log your number is 1 more than 10. Whatever. You can have it do whatever depending on the case. You have to break out of that. Otherwise, you can have you're supposed to specify a default case. So by default, if it's neither one of those things, then console.log your number is neither 10 nor 11. And then you have to break out of that. When that gets run, now you have it's kind of like conditional branching with the if else thing, but it's just a little different way of doing it. So let's see what happens when I put in 18. It says your number is neither 10 or 11. If I make it 10, your number is 10. So it will go down one of these branches depending on the case. What is this value? So you say switch, and then you put in a value. In the case that that value is this, it'll do that. In the case that it's this, it'll do that. Otherwise, by default, it'll do this. Now this is, I think it's probably more used for text, but it seems to work for numbers as well. For text, you would just put quotes around that. So I could say, maybe this is my name. I'll just use lowercase. And then it'll check if your name is Ryan. It'll say, welcome Ryan. Comma maybe. If your name is Bob, it'll say, hello Bob. And otherwise, it'll just say, user not recognized. I think that's how you spell it. If you're not Bob or Ryan, then it doesn't know you. It doesn't have an account for you. So what happens if I put in Ryan? Welcome Ryan. If I put in Jane, user's not recognized. Alright, so that's a switch statement. I hope that made sense to you. Okay.